What is going on, YouTube? It's your boy Dre. We got another video for you guys today on Locker Room Talk. We got a reoccurring guest. If you haven't already, go check out the podcast from last week. We got Peyton Vilardi in the house.
Thanks for having me back, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's gonna be a reoccurring guest. His performance last week it was pretty good. We'll give him a B plus. That's why we invited him back on the show. But another reason JLowe has been pretty lazy. So drop a few hate comments in the chat. But we're gonna have a good show today without him. He'll be on next week as well. So, but yeah, it's good to have Peyton back on the show. We're gonna jump right into it. All right, so first topic we're gonna start off with. There was some big news this last week. Cam Newton going to the Patriots. What are your first thoughts on this?
My initial reaction was me personally, I kind of thought it's about time. I kind of figured there's no way that Cam Newton was going to go throughout the entire offseason without being picked up by an NFL team. I also thought that the Patriots were a good fit because I don't think they were 100% sold and confident in Jared Stidham just because he's a second year player. He was a decent college quarterback, not great, not
Yep.
bad, but not great. Um, and also, I think Cam Newton's just too talented to be a free agent and not have a starting job somewhere.
Hmm.
And also, the Patriots got him for really cheap. I mean, I think he's only guaranteed $500,000 with the rest of it being incentives.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of a win-win for the Patriots. If Cam comes in and he plays well, then they're paying him not a lot of money, so they can go out and get other pieces to surround him with. And also, if it doesn't work out and they end up benching him or cutting him, then it's okay. Well, we weren't really paying him that much anyways.
Yeah, I believe it's a win-win for Bill Belichick and also Cam Newton to kind of revise himself in his career, get it back on track. He has had a history of injury problems these last few years, but the man's only 31 or 32 years old. He still has a lot of football to be played. He's stepping into the Patriot way. I believe Belichick and Josh McDaniels will get that offense and system best to fit his strengths. Um, I do believe there was no way Jarrett Stidham or the Patriots and Belichick were thinking they were wanting Stidham heading into the season to be their starter. I mean, the man's only threw like 3 or 4 passes in his whole career, and one of them was a pick six. But there's just no comparison talent wise with Cam Newton and Jarrett Stidham. Like you said, there was no possible way he was going to be left without a team to be playing for this season. Patriots got him for really cheap, so yeah, it's a win-win. But what are your what are your predictions for the Bucks? Or I mean, not the Bucks. I'm sorry, the Patriots going into this season though. Now that they have Cam Newton.
Well, do I think New England will be better with Cam Newton? Yes, absolutely. I don't really think that's a hot take, but I'm really high on the Buffalo Bills. They had a top 10, probably a top 5 defense in the league last year.
Yeah,
That defense was elite. They forced a lot of turnovers, and they got guys that can get after the quarterback. And Josh Allen's going to go through another year of progression. Hopefully, he's going to take that next leap. And they just got Stephon Diggs too, who's a deep threat and can get you some easy touchdowns. I I really like Buffalo. I I'm not predicting them to make it to the Super Bowl out of the AFC. Obviously, I think that'll either be the Ravens or the Chiefs. But
yeah,
if I had to pick a sleeper team in the AFC, I would definitely go with Buffalo. I think they're definitely going to surprise a lot of people this year. So I have Buffalo going 11-5 or 10-6, like one of those two. And then I probably have New England going 9-7. I think I think before Cam Newton got there, I was kind of, if Tua works out for the Dolphins, then maybe they could get that second spot in the AFC East. If Jarrett Stidham doesn't perform and Bill Belichick decides to, pull the plug on the season and just kind of tank a little bit, maybe trade Stephon Gilmore and get some picks to try and go after Trevor Lawrence. But now
yeah.
that Cam Newton's there, it means that New England is trying to win now. I think Bill Belichick wants to prove that he can win without Tom Brady. But at the end of the day, they don't have a whole lot of weapons on offense. I think Cam makes up for that because he can get you some yards and some touchdowns with his legs, whereas Tom Brady couldn't do that. But I think they go 9-7, 8-8 or 9-7. Like I said, I don't think they win the division because I'm very, very high on Buffalo this year. But I think it'll be I think New England football will be not as unbearable to watch as I thought they were going to be this year.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if this is a hot take or so, but I do think the Patriots will win the division. I don't think the AFC East is very tough. I mean, you have the Bills are pretty much the only team they have to worry about, I guess. Yeah, as far as the Dolphins, the Jets, and the Bills are pretty much the only team I see giving them a threat. But like you said, Cam Newton can turn a mediocre offense into a pretty good offense. He has been pretty much a one man show, one man band, if you want to say, in Carolina. I like he never really had the receivers. He's still not going to have the receivers in New England, but he's played his whole career without like a top receiver on his team. I mean, I think the only valuable option he's had his whole career was Greg Olson, if I'm not mistaken, and he was a tight end. But as long as Cam can stay healthy, um, I think they will be a good team in the AFC. Uh, Bill Belichick's gonna have the defense playing well. As long as Cam can manage the game, and he was on the right track in becoming a better pocket passer. I think he needs to take less hits, but we'll see
I
what Josh
agree.
McDaniels and everything
I
dials
think he
up.
needs to learn how to get down, not take as many hits.
Yeah,
And I think another thing he kind of got better about was like learning how to throw the ball away instead of taking those sacks. And
exactly.
I think if he can stay focused, because it's no secret that Cam Newton can kind of be a little
That's
more.
another thing. Is
Yeah,
Belichick gonna let him act? Cam is a character in no bad way by any mean. That's just how he is. That's what motivates him, gets him going. But Belichick, and as far as the Patriot way, and do you think Belichick's going to allow him to be uh, free? I guess I would say.
well, I don't think Bill Belichick is going to stop Cam Newton from being Cam Newton as far as personality wise, because he did have Gronk for a number of years, and I think if you want to compare personalities, Cam Newton and Gronk are two very strong personalities. When
Yeah,
those two guys walk in the locker room,
but
that
those are
they're
two different. Those are two totally different positions. Cam's going to be the man in the locker room. He's the main position. He's at quarterback, whereas Gronk was at tight end. You know what I mean?
yeah. But I still think Belichick can make it work. I think what I know it's two different positions, but I think Bill Belichick in the past has learned how to deal with big, strong personalities, and I don't think it'll be that much of an adjustment for Belichick. I think it'll be more so if Cam can learn how to, you know, react and adapt to the Patriot way, is what they call it. I think the Patriot way or
Yeah.
the Belichick way.
So moving on a little bit, do you have Belichick and Cam Newton and the Patriots having a better season than Tom Brady and the Bucks?
Absolutely not. No,
No.
I don't. Listen, I think that you just look at that Tampa Bay. First of all, that Tampa Bay offense. I mean, you got Tom Brady, then you got Chris Godwin, Mike
Mike
Evans,
Evans.
Gronk, Cameron Brate. I mean, like that that offense alone, like all those weapons around Tom Brady is just insane. New England doesn't have nearly as many weapons on the offensive side of the ball as Tampa Bay does. And then you look at the defenses. I know New England had an elite defense last year,
Yeah, the Bucks were
but
right up there.
so did Tampa Bay. I mean, you debatably have the best linebacker core in football with Devin White, Levante David. I mean, you got uh you got Jason Pierre-Paul coming back. You got, I'm not mistaken, I think Ndamukong Suh is coming back. Like that front line is elite too. So I think another year under Bruce Arians, because last year was Bruce Arians' first year, and they went 7-9, and their quarterback threw 30 interceptions.
And
Like
seven pick
that,
sixes. Yeah.
yeah, that team could have easily been 9-7 or 8-8, but instead they end up going 7-9 because Jameis just kept throwing pick after pick after pick. So now you get
And
Tom
also, and
Brady.
also, the Patriots also have uh, the league's toughest schedule according to win losses from every team last season. So they're going to have a tough schedule. They are playing in a weaker division, whereas the Bucks play in a pretty tough division. But I still think Tom, with the shortened off season and everything going on, there'll be probably no training camp. I still believe Tom will get everyone on track. He's already holding private workouts. He's been criticized for that, but we'll get into that another day. But I still think it's a win-win for both teams as far as picking up Cam Newton and the Bucks getting Tom Brady.
I don't think that Tampa Bay is going to be, way better than every other team in the league. I think right now Tampa Bay is a top 5 team in the NFL, whereas I think New England's a top, you know, 12, 13 team kind of
Will the
like
Bucks beat the Saints in their division?
like overall record or head to head.
Overall record.
No, I think the Saints will go 11-5, and I think the Bucks will go 10-6.
Okay, head to head, they played twice. Do you have
I
the
have a
Saints
split.
sweeping them, or you have a split?
I have a split. I think each team wins their home game.
And I do believe they play each other first game of the regular season, correct?
I think so too. Yeah, I don't know if it's in Tampa Bay or if it's in New Orleans, but whoever the home team is, I have them winning that one.
I don't know though. First game of the season, I still give the advantage to the Saints, no matter where the game's played, only because, like I said, the off season, and the Saints already have chemistry. It's just going to be tough for the Bucks coming out in their first game with this type of off season.
I think, yeah, I would agree with you because I do think team chemistry and timing matters just as much in football or more in football than any other sport. I think you could attest to that more than I could, but you know, timing in football is one of the most important things, and I think that's going to take a little while for Tampa Bay to get used to. Everybody gets situated with each other. I think the defense is going to be great, and I think the offense is going to take a little while to pick up speed, especially with Gronk's probably going to be playing limited snaps,
Yep.
But I think if Tampa Bay makes it to the playoffs with very few injuries, like
And they're
no,
gonna if they're gonna be clicking by the end of the season, so they
exactly,
definitely can make some noise in the playoffs.
yeah. So even if they don't beat New Orleans at all in the regular season, when it comes playoff time, I can at least put the ball in Tom Brady's hands and say, "Hey, I need you to go win this game, whether it's on the road or at home." I think I can rely on Tom Brady to win a game for me.
Yeah, for sure. Good points. Good points. All right, we're gonna move along to basketball a little bit. Um, do you think there will be an asterisk on this year's NBA champion with everything going on, the bubble and all of that? What's your take on that?
Do I think there will be an asterisk? I wouldn't say an asterisk as far as like it being easier. I know that there are players that are opting out of
Yeah,
teams, but it depends based on between now and then, like if some bigger name players decide to opt out. Like Victor Oladipo's not going,
yeah.
but nobody really had the Pacers making a whole lot of noise in the playoffs
See,
anyways.
that's my thing though. Like, what if the Western Conference Finals? What if the Clippers and Lakers, who everyone think will meet in the Western Conference Finals? What if one of their big name players, LeBron, Kawhi, Anthony Davis, what if they happen to have? But I don't wish it on anyone. But what if they happen to catch COVID and all of that, and they weren't able to play in that game, in that final series?
Well, I mean, you look at last year's finals. Is there an asterisk for Toronto because Kevin Durant was hurt the entire
Yeah,
series?
that's
Klay
true.
Thompson tore his ACL in Game 6,
Hmm.
which Golden State was probably going to win that game and force a Game 7 if he doesn't get hurt. And I mean, just I think there's always an asterisk in every NBA finals or every NBA playoffs. I mean, there's so many what ifs. I think this one's a little bit different because players have the choice whether or not to play. But as
Yeah.
long as LeBron James doesn't opt out of playing, or Kawhi Leonard doesn't opt out of playing, or Giannis, like Avery Bradley left, but I still wouldn't consider that like some huge,
Hmm.
this big star opting out. So, but I also could think, listen, this is going to be a hard 3 months for NBA players. They're
It
going
is. It's pretty much just a race to the finals now.
Yeah, and like they're going to Orlando without their families, without their kid, a lot of them without their kids, without their wives, significant others, and it's they're going to be stuck in a hotel room, which I get it. The hotel room is going to be a villa, a suite. It's not going to be it's not going to be like a Holiday Inn. Like they're going to be getting the best treatment. They're going
Yeah.
to be barbers are going to be there with them, but still playing with no fans, no home court advantage. You could look at this and say that it's debatably more challenging to win this year's title than any other title. So, yeah, you could say there's an asterisk, and it's easier because teams won't have their full rosters or all their best players. But you could also say it's harder based on circumstances that they can't avoid or that they can't, change because of the virus.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, it's pretty much just the race to the finals now. I'm like, look at NASCAR. Nobody cares if you win the final two laps of the Daytona 500. You still won, and that's kind of how I look at it with this being in the bubble situation. Like, it's going to be a lot tougher than any other season, I believe. Like the lockouts and all those have nothing compared to this.
I think whoever wins the title, I don't think 20 years from now we'll look back on it and say, if the Clippers win it, like, oh well, Avery Bradley didn't play for the Lakers, that's why they didn't win it, or you know, if someone like Kyle
Exactly.
Korver, like if Kyle Korver didn't play for the Bucks, no one's gonna look back and say, "Oh, the Bucks didn't win it because Kyle Korver." Like it's not gonna be. I don't think we'll ever look back on it 20 years from now and think about it like that. I think we'll think about it as like that was the quarantine playoff. That was the bubble champion.
COVID season. Yeah.
Yeah, the COVID season. I don't think this ring will have any less meaning or really any more meaning. I think it kind of just means the same. You can look at it any way you want to, but to me, a championship's a championship. If you win a ring, you win a ring, no matter what the circumstance. Everybody
That's
is at
facts.
everybody's at an equal playing field right now. Everyone is. It's not like one team has more advantage than the other. So right now, yeah, I wouldn't put an asterisk. Like I would say this. I wouldn't consider this champion to have an easier path than last year's Toronto team. Last year's Toronto team, I put an asterisk on that because of all the
Yep.
injury.
But still, nobody's gonna, like you said, 20 years from now, nobody's gonna look back and take that ring away from Kawhi and the Raptors.
Yeah, no, 20 years from now, no one's going to talk about, oh, that was when Kevin Durant was hurt. They're going to say, oh, okay, well, Toronto won the championship, and that's how sports championships will be. We talk about it, probably 5 years later, and then after that,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes just a memory.
Yep. All right. Moving along. There was some news this week with the number one ranked basketball player in the class of 2022, Amani Bates. He made his college decision that he would be committing to Michigan State. But my only question to you is, do you think this kid will ever step foot on a college court?
Be well, are you asking that because of like maybe they'll change the rule to where he could go straight
Yeah,
up?
and you know how everything's going on right now. Not even that maybe they'll change the rules. They can go straight out of high school. I do think this kid, by the time he's a senior, he's going to be a junior this year. But by the time he's a senior, he could make the leap straight to the NBA. But with everything going on, the new G League route where they pay the kids around 500,000, I believe, and it's kind of like a feeder system, get them prepared for the NBA lifestyle and all of that.
Yeah, I think if the new NBA CBA allows high school kids to go straight into the league again, then I think it's a no-brainer for him to go straight to the NBA. He'd most likely be the number one pick in that draft.
His play. I don't know if you've seen him play recently. This kid plays like Kevin Durant. He has the long, lanky frame like him. 6'9", 6'10", can dribble, shoot. Once he grows into his body, I think he's going to be a real offensive threat and a real problem.
Yeah, no, and I saw I was watching a YouTube video on him a couple nights ago, and Fran Fraschilla, I think his name is, from ESPN, who does the high school basketball recruiting, he was saying like, yeah, like this is the best kid I've seen in high school since LeBron. Which, like, again, people say that all the time. They said the same thing about Ben Simmons. They said a lot of people said the same thing about Zion. Uh, there have been a lot of LeBron's, but I think that you don't. I think that he's more Kevin Durant than he is LeBron, like you said. I mean, he is tall, he's lanky, he can handle the ball, he can pull up from anywhere on the court, high release point on his jump shot. I think this kid's going to be one of those that can go from high school to the NBA and immediately make an impact in the league if he can adapt to the physicality of the NBA.
Yeah,
But
which I don't think will be. I mean, Kevin. Everyone had the same concerns for Kevin Durant. He adapted just fine.
yeah, but do I think he'll ever step on a college court? I think no, if the NBA changes the rule to where they can go straight to the league. But if
Could he even take the route LaMelo took though? I mean, the kid wants money. He wants to be a professional basketball player. He's not looking to be in college. So
well, I I think that me personally, if I was coming out of high school and I was a highly recruited basketball player, I would personally go to college, mostly because there's nothing like playing on national television in
March
America.
Madness, you're right.
In
Yep.
America, March Madness. I think because look what it did for Zion. I mean, when Zion was coming out of high school, he he was what, the second ranked player in his class. If he was able to go from high school straight to the NBA, he probably would have been the sixth pick or seventh pick in that draft. But instead, he went to Duke, had a good season, you know, had a lot of exposure from playing on national TV and playing in March
Hmm.
Madness. That
And that all set him up for future endorsements. I mean,
Yeah, that led to his probably $100 million endorsement from Jordan, any sponsorships that he gets from Gatorade, stuff like that. And also, if you go sixth overall in the draft, you're probably making $1.2 million a year. Whereas if you go
mhm.
number one, you're probably making $4 to $5 million a year. So I think going to
Yeah.
Duke
Just the
really
only
helped.
the only reason I asked this question is if he'll step on a court is because he told ESPN, he said, I don't know what the future holds, but as of now, I will be committing to Michigan State. So like, I just feel like this kid wants to just make the leap to the NBA. He doesn't want to waste his time in college. You know what I mean? Like,
I think what he
he's not completely sold on playing in college.
well also I think he's gonna see how this little G League experiment goes,
Hmm.
because
Yeah, some of
this
the
is going
top
to be the first
recruits in
year.
his class are, yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be the first year where this is happening for high school players going straight into the G League as like part of some select team. So if the process is good and those kids who were a part of that say, "Hey, we really enjoyed this. I'm really glad I did this instead of going to college," then I think he makes the decision of, "Okay, I'm going to go do this." But if they say, "Hey, you know what? I really wish I would have gone to college instead. I don't really think I got a whole lot better, or my draft stock kind of took a little bit of a hit because of this," then I think he's going to say, "Okay, well, I should just go to college." So I think he's kind of just sitting back and waiting to see what happens. But like I said, me personally, I would go to college, especially now because the laws are being changed where NCAA players can make money off of their likeness. So it's not like college basketball players aren't going to be paid anymore for endorsements. Like that's going to change within the next couple of years, and I think that's something that could definitely sway his decision a little bit.
Yeah, if he's allowed to make money off of his likeness and endorsements, I think that's a no-brainer to go to Michigan State, one of the top basketball schools in the country. But if he did choose the G League route, like by no means is his draft stock gonna drop. He's a generational talent. I know you hear about a lot of guys like getting lost in the G League and never hearing about him again, but this kid's still gonna be a top five pick even if he chooses the G League. I don't think it's gonna be make much of a difference.
Yeah, like he's one of those rare kids where no matter what he does, as long as he doesn't get hurt, knock on wood, he's going to be the number one pick and he's going to be making a lot of money. So it all depends on the kid, really. It all depends on how highly recruited you are coming out of high school, uh,
Exactly.
how much exposure you've had, how much NBA scouts have really, gotten to see you. That's why LaMelo Ball, people have been watching him since he was a freshman in high school.
Hmm.
And he's been under a very, very large microscope since he was 15 years old. So even when he went to Lithuania or over to Australia, people followed him because he was LaMelo Ball. Like his draft stock didn't take a hit from that. Whereas, if there's a kid who's, 16th ranked in the country who maybe people don't spend as much time watching or looking at, goes over to Australia, you could probably kind of forget about him, especially if
Yep.
the number 2 kid is going to Duke or Kentucky or North Carolina
Hmm.
and playing on national TV.
Yeah,
And
they're going to be on a bigger stage, like you were saying. But
it all depends on the kid, really. But as far as this one, I think he's going to be the number 1 pick, and he's going to be paid a lot of money. He's going to get pretty much whatever deals he wants, barring injury.
yep. All right. Moving along. With the NBA season getting closer to resuming, who is your pick to get the eighth seed in the Western Conference? There's a lot of teams racing for that spot. I believe the Grizzlies have it right now, but you have the Pelicans in the hunt, the Trailblazers. Who do you think is gonna get the last spot in the Western Conference?
So I think New Orleans will get it. I think New Orleans will get it. I won't be surprised if Portland gets it because they are getting Yusuf Nurkic back, who's their
Yep.
star big man. Zach Collins is coming back, who's another good piece. I think Damian Lillard wants to prove, or at least wants to show, that he can carry this team to the playoffs. But I think you got to look at the way New Orleans was playing with Zion before the
Hmm.
season canceled.
And
He was,
Zion's got in great shape. I know you've seen the pictures recently on social media. Looks like he dropped about 15 pounds.
yeah. And then you also got to listen, my man Lonzo Ball. I am the number 1 Lonzo Ball supporter. So I think him and Zion are going to be a great duo in this league for a long time. And I think with all that young
And
talent,
they also have one of the top young scorers in the league with Brandon Ingram. He was a first time All Star this year.
yeah, he's averaging
Yep,
he averaging 25, 26.
25. Yep, I would say 25 or 26.
And also,
And that would just be exciting to see the Pelicans versus the Lakers as well in that first round matchup. Zion versus LeBron. That's just box office. I know they're not playing like uh, a usual games that would be in LA or New Orleans, but still be box office and the TV ratings would be through the roof.
and not only that, one of the other reasons why I picked New Orleans is because they have 8 games. I believe that's what it is. 8 games before the playoffs start. It's like an 8 game
Yep,
to
and
see who.
they have one of the weakest schedules.
Not only that, but I think with teams like Portland and who else is going, Sacramento, stuff
Yep.
like that. If you have some older players, it kind of takes them a little bit while to get the
Hmm.
timing back and get
New
their legs.
Orleans, the Pelicans are full of young guns who can get out, get ready, and run.
Yeah, they're going to
Um,
come out with energy. They're going to come out running and gunning and ready to go. I think they're going to come out with a lot of intensity. They're a good defensive team. They got scores. They got their star guy in Zion and Brandon Ingram. So
and if you're within 4 games, I believe you can get a. They're gonna do the play-in tournament, right?
yeah, they would do the playing tournament
Where
with
it'd be
Memphis.
three. What would it be? 2 or 3 games, and the ninth seed would have to win 2 of them.
Yeah, they would have to win 2 in a row or 3 in a row, whereas
Yep.
the AC would have to win one. Where
I mean,
uh,
I still don't want to sleep on the Grizzlies though. Like John Morant and Jaren Jackson had the Grizzlies playing good basketball.
yeah, but I think if Zion's fully healthy and is in good as shape as people say he is,
Hmm.
then and as good of shape as
Is the minute restriction off
it's got to be.
now that yeah, it's got to be right.
It's got to be. This is around the time where you say, "Hey, listen, we're going to play you." I would I don't think Zion will ever be a guy that you play 40 minutes a game. I think he's still going to play I think he'll play 32 to 35 minutes a
35.
game,
Yep.
which is still a lot, but
Hmm.
it's not, LeBron in the playoffs is probably going to have to play, 40, 45, 46 minutes a game. I don't think Zion will ever reach that amount, but I would like to think that New Orleans is going to get that 8th spot. I think if the play-in tournament is between New Orleans and Memphis, I would pick New Orleans just because I think overall, as a team, they are better.
They are a better team. Yep. All right, moving on. This will be the last topic of the show. Do you think Juju Smith-Schuster will be able to be a legit number one receiver with Big Ben back at quarterback? We all know he didn't have the best options at quarterback last year with Mason Rudolph, Doug Hodges, with Big Ben going down, but he still has not proven ever since AB has left the team that he can be a legit number one receiver on the team. Do you think with Big Ben coming back, this will be a season to prove it?
I think so, because again, Pittsburgh is another one of those teams where they'll be very good mostly because of their defense. Once Minka Fitzpatrick got there and he got settled, then that defense became one of the better ones in all of the league, which I think will make it easier for Big Ben and Juju on the offensive side of the ball. Do I think
Mm-hmm.
he could be a number one legit receiver? I I think so. I don't think he'll ever be Julio,
No.
or he'll never be AB, which I know Antonio Brown has done a lot of off the field things that, a lot of us don't agree with at all. But if you want to talk about what he was doing in the decade of the 2010s,
Yeah,
I mean
one of the
Antonio
most
Brown
productive receivers. Yeah.
ever. So he'll never be on that level. But do I think he could be a number one option? I think he could be a number one option on a playoff team. Like I said,
Okay.
I don't think he could be a number one option on a Super Bowl winning team. But
Mm-hmm.
I I think if Big Ben can stay healthy and get into some sort of shape, because it doesn't really seem like he's in any good shape at all, then I think that Juju could have a productive year. I mean, what he was first team All Pro in 2018,
Yep.
so he already had a breakout
His rookie
year.
season, he had close to 1,000 yards. I mean, 2018, I know he had over 100 receptions. I can't tell you how many yards he had. I believe like 1,100 or 1,200.
I think he was really close to 1,200.
But there's a big difference. With AB on the team, he was getting the second best corner. Now he's getting every team's lockdown corner. Like there's a big difference between having the number one corner on you. And I do think Juju is talented enough to be a number one receiver on a playoff team, like you said, but I just don't think he puts you over the top as far as Super Bowl contention at that position. But there's no question he's a productive receiver in the league.
And he's definitely going to get the targets. It's
Yeah.
not it's not like Big Ben's not going to be slinging the ball to him all the time. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's going to get the looks, he's going to get the targets, which is why I think his stats are going to be very good this year. But I don't know if that will translate to team wins. It's like I don't have Pittsburgh making the playoffs this year, and I don't know if I have Pittsburgh finishing 500. I think they'll finish right around 8-8 or 7-9. But I don't look at Pittsburgh and think like, you know, that offense is going to be something that's so dynamic and that's going to be able to put points up on the board, because you got to look at it like the the Ravens
Their defense
the
is always
Ravens
going
are
to
a
keep
high
them in the
scoring
game,
team,
though.
huh?
Their defense is, and Mike Tomlin and their defense is always going to keep them in the games, though.
Yeah, I agree, but I think in their division they're probably going to have to outscore some teams in order, like you're going to have to try and
I
outscore the
still
Ravens.
think the Steelers would be better than the Browns.
I don't know, because I want to see the Browns. I want to see Baker Mayfield. I want to see how he comes back
They're
from.
definitely a more exciting team to watch, but just as far as who I would bet on to win one game is definitely Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. If Big Ben can
As of
stay
right now,
healthy.
yes. As of right now, yes. If I had to bet on a team, just because I don't know how good of a coach Kevin Stefanski is.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. That's what I'm. This is going
yeah,
to be Baker Mayfield's fourth head coach, third.
fourth, I think.
Yeah,
4 in 3 seasons, yeah. But I think Kevin Stefanski is a good offensive minded coach. I think he's gonna learn how to get Odell his looks, Jarvis his looks. I think they need to be a run heavy team with Nick Chubb. But like I said, I don't I wouldn't pick them to win a game over the Steelers, but it's not about winning one game. It's about winning how many you can win out of 16. And I think that if Kevin Stefanski can prove to be a good head coach and Baker Mayfield can rebound from last year's awful, for lack of a better term, season, then I think the Browns could have a shot at being decent. But
yeah.
I
If
think,
like you
listen,
said, if the Browns become a run heavy team, which they're capable of doing. They picked up a lineman in the draft. They have Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in the league. Kareem Hunt, so that 1-2 punch is going to be deadly. You turn that team into a play action offense, just like the Vikings are doing with Kirk Cousins. Then you get Odell and Jarvis Landry their touches. Their tight end core is good, so you can have two of them on the field at the same time. So like you said, like if Kevin Stefanski can come in and discipline that team, I think Baker's going to turn it around. But I don't know. I'm still betting on Mike Tomlin and the Steelers to get it done.
Yeah, if you're looking at, I think Cleveland has definitely a more talented overall roster,
Oh, for sure, yeah,
but I think Pittsburgh has the obvious coaching advantage, and in the NFL, coaching is the most important besides quarterback play.
yeah,
The NFL is not like the NBA where the coach doesn't really matter. It's more about in the NBA, it's more about players. In the NFL, it's about coaches. Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Sean Payton, Bruce
yep.
Arians this year. You
I
know,
think it all depends on how Big Ben plays, though.
yeah, and if Big Ben can stay healthy and come into training camp and at least get into a little bit of shape, then I think Pittsburgh will be just fine. But I think if he gets hurt again, or if he, kind of falls off the cliff a little bit as far as like age catching up to him, then I think that kind of leaves room for Cleveland to sneak in there. But um, as far as Juju, I think Juju's a very talented receiver. I think he's the perfect number two receiver on a Super Bowl caliber team. Do I think he's a number
Yep.
one option on one of those on a Super Bowl winning team? No. But that doesn't mean he can't be productive on an 8-8 team and make first team all pro again.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, we're gonna wrap things up. It was good having you on the show again, Peyton. I'm sure you're gonna be on a regular basis now. It's always good talking with you. You know what you're talking about. But we're gonna cut it here. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We'll catch you guys next week.
All right. Thanks for having me on.